what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent Switch/gaming video for this week, where I take a look at some of the stories that came out this week and give you my thoughts and my opinions on. So why don't we get started with this one? And this one's going to be more Nintendo related though, because there's 4 Nintendo related stories that came out that caught my attention. So we'll get started with the first one, and this one has to do with Retro Studios. Now, ever since Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze has come out, and this I'm talking about the Wii U version back in 2014, not the Switch version or anything like that. They sort of remained dormant for a bit, other than hearing stories of them hiring people and all that stuff. They've sort of remained quiet, and lately that has worried some people, with some reports coming out that Retro Studios could be closing down. In an article on Gamer Revolution, again, links will be in the description, and several other articles picked up like Nintendo Enthusiasts as well, the story points out Retro Studios, the team behind Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and the Metroid Prime trilogy, love both of those games, might be going through some hard times, according to a few user reviews on the employee review site Glassdoor. Some allege ex-employees of the former Metroid Prime creator paint the studio in a dismal light, citing poor aggressive management, stagnant, stagnant, upward movement, and more. These disgruntled former staffers assert that the studio has lost its way and let go a good portion of the key figures. 4 negative reviews out of the 5 total on Glassdoor each has negative things to say about the studio and use similar words. Of the 2001 from 2012, another one from 2017, and 2 from 2018. All have overreaching theme of poor management that has led the company downhill since its Metroid Prime heyday. One employee of 5 years even cite that Peter principle, which is when people are promoted to positions positions they do not have skills for. Decent pay and general stability were among the few concession positive threads. The lone positive review from 2013 said they enjoyed management and a great teamwork environment. However, the most recent review stated that half of the team is expecting Nintendo to shut it down, and the other half is hoping Retro Studios has an average score of 2.2 out of 5 on Glassdoor. Well, and going over to Glassdoor, the website though, it has so far 11 reviews. It was updated on July 6, 2018. It currently sits with 2.5 out of 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2.5 out of 5. The last negative review so far was in July. On July 2nd. Basically, I won't who the person was. They gave it a doesn't recommend, negative outlook, no opinion of CEO. The pros they gave it is longtime studio owned by Nintendo. The con is they are all but shutting down. The management doesn't know crap about gaming other than the CEO, and they are ordered by Nintendo that if by 2019 they don't begin putting loot boxes and microtransactions, they are going to shut them down. The hero here is the CEO who fruitlessly tried to convince Nintendo otherwise. And yes, this is not easy or Konami, but Nintendo advice management, please stop your shady crap. However, the latest one was July 6th, today. They're giving it they're saying recommend, positive outlook, approve the CEO, and the pro they wrote is not sure where all these negative Nancys are coming from, but I worked at Retro Studios for 3 years and love it there. We had some tight timelines, but who in this industry doesn't? The management really cares and it shows. The benefit were great, and the teams were really great. Not sure why they're being dragged through the mud. The con is tight timelines are a pain sometimes, and advice to management is hang in there, we love you. My take from this though is I'm approaching this with a huge grain of salt, because there is the possibility, I'm just saying, there is a possibility that the people who are writing these negative reviews could be trolling or may have had some sort of personal grudge that things didn't go their way. I mean, it's not surprising when you see people who troll on Amazon or Metacritic or Rotten Tomato. They'll write a negative review about something and come up with like the worst excuse possible. So I'm taking this with a grain of salt. That being said, I can see why this story has kind of gained momentum, considering that we haven't heard really anything from Retro Studio quite some time. Although there has been a report saying that Retro did put out a tweet about saying Happy 4th of July. They're making some prime rib and all that stuff, which many have assumed that that's an indication that they're working on the Metroid Prime trilogy and bringing that over to Switch, which we don't know if that's true or not, or anything like that. So I'm very cautious about this one. I really am. While I won't dismiss the fact that there might be issues at Retro Studios though, and it is possible that Nintendo could shut it down though, I'm not ready to jump aboard on the bandwagon and declare that the story is 100% true. There is a concern that that some of these people who are writing these negative reviews could be trolling. Bear in mind, I'm not saying that what they're saying is lying. It is possible it could be true, but at the same time, it is possible they could be trolling. So I'm taking a cautious approach on this one, though. I do hope Retro and Nintendo do address this if this is to come out and determine whether this is false or not. If it is false, I do think they need to come out and sort of determine that. If it's not false, then obviously there is some issues over at Retro Studios and they need to fix and address the problems, whatever it may be. So, bottom line on this one, I am taking this one with a grain of salt for now, and I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. I'm hoping it's not true at all. I'm hoping that Retro Studios is working on something to bring over to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, I'll be happy if they are porting Metroid Prime Trilogy to the Switch. I think they ported Tropical Freeze over to the Switch, but I certainly would love to see something new from them as well. Maybe a third Donkey Kong Country game, I would be okay with that, although I would be down with them working on something new. So, bottom line is, I'm not declaring the story false or anything like that, but I do think a grain of salt does need to be taken with this one. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2 of our video, and this one's going to be talking about Square Enix working on a new action RPG. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My Two Cent video, and for this one we're going to be looking at an announcement made by Square Enix as they are going to be developing supposedly a new action RPG for not only the Nintendo Switch but also the PS4. As far as Square Enix support from the Switch though, it's sort of been kind of a up and down a little bit though. While they have brought some good games over to the Nintendo Switch, such as like I Am Sutsuma, and I think Lost Sphere, if I'm saying the name correctly, as well. Not to mention the upcoming Octopath Traveler, a game I'm looking forward to trying out myself. At the same time, there have been some back and forth, some questionable decisions they made, such as the release of Dragon Quest Heroes, both 1 and 2 for the Switch, which from what I understand was poorly optimized, not to mention it was only released in Japan, and I'm still waiting to I'm hoping they fix that game and they can bring it over here to the West as well. To the announcement of the upcoming Dragon Quest game, which will be coming to the Switch a little bit later, and some people have accused Square Enix of probably announcing the game way too early at the time when the Switch was referred to as the NX. to the whole issue with Final Fantasy 15 of whether they could bring it to the Switch or not, where the developers kind of made a comment saying that they want to release on they're planning to release on a system that rhymes with Twitch, which set off this whole issue of whether or not it was coming to the Switch or not, and that got Nintendo to call them, whether it is to tell them that they want to help bring it over, or whether it's they should not have announced something they know that's not coming to the Nintendo Switch and all. So either case, it's sort of been a back and forth with Square Enix, and again, it's kind of been a back and forth with other developers as well, like say Capcom too. Well, apparently it looks as though Square Enix is still going to support the Nintendo Switch, and recently they announced that they are bringing an Untitled all-new action RPG. From several different articles, including this one from Nintendo Life and PlayStation Lifestyle. Again, links will be in the description, you can check it out. It points out that Square Enix has recently posted a job listing in search of a project assistant for an upcoming Switch/PS4 action RPG. The listing, which understandably refrains from going into too much details, reveals that the position is at Square Enix Business Division 8, the studio behind the PS4 Secret of Mana remake, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, EXVIUS on the smartphone, and the Imperial Saga on browser. The successful project assistant will be tasked with supporting the game's producers as well as working on advertising duties for the project. Business Division 8 has also worked on several smartphone ports in the past, including Final Fantasy, I think it was a VI, again, I'm not really great with numerals, Final Fantasy Dimension 2, and a whole selection of Dragon Quest titles, though. From what I understand, though, I've heard that the Secret of Mana remake, at least according to what PlayStation Lifestyle saying, was flat out poorly received by most fans and critics. As far as what the job posting is, and this was translated though, it says the 8th Business Division developer and manager, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, Senkai Densetsu, if I'm saying the name correctly, and Imperial Saga created original works such as Baham Disco, BAHAMUT, developed cross-media and distribute it worldwide. I will leave the project assistant task of action RPG for the Nintendo Switch and PS4. We will achieve production part of the project while supporting the producer about the production and promotion of the following games. So, other than I may have read that wrong or something like that. So, on one hand, it's both good and bad. On one hand, though, it's great that we're getting a action RPG from them, and they're bringing it not only to the PS4 but to the Nintendo Switch. I've been playing the Yeast game that just recently came out, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more action RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. On the other hand, however, the fact that it's the Secret of Mana remake, though, and from what I understand, critics and fans did not like that, does raise a little bit of red flags on that one. So I'm not 100%, I'm both mixed on this response. I haven't played the Secret of Mana remake, so I don't know for certain if it is as terrible as people say it is, but given some of the response, obviously it was, so we'll have to wait and see what this new game that they're working on. Maybe we'll hear something maybe at the Tokyo Game Show, that's a possibility, or maybe next year at E3, or possibly at a Nintendo Direct. So we won't know for certain, so until they officially announce it. So overall, mixed on this one. I think it's great that we're getting an action RPG from Square Enix. I think it's great that they're bringing it to Nintendo Switch, but seeing how it's the same people that did the Secret of Mana remake, obviously some people have some concerns. So we'll have to wait and see what the official project is when they finally reveal it, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one will be looking at the a comment made by Nintendo regarding Switch's fall lineup. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at comments made by the outgoing Nintendo president Kimishima, who basically recently made some comments about what Nintendo will be doing in the fall. Now, as some of you are aware, Nintendo had their E3 presentation, like every other developer had their presentation at E3. And, well, their presentation, I will honestly say, I was kind of mixed at it, though. While there were some good announcements, like that new mech game that they announced for it, and of course, Fire Emblem Three Houses as well, not everybody was thrilled about it. If you were a diehard Super Smash Bros. Fan, you probably liked it. If you're not a diehard Smash Bros. Fan, you probably didn't enjoy it. And regardless of whether you agree with investors or not, obviously they were not convinced, and recently their Nintendo stock has kind of took a downward spiral. Some of it is that they're concerned about the Pokemon and Smash Bros. Giving the impression that was the only games they have, which to some degree, yes, I could kind of see that, because the way they sort of pushed Smash Bros. Though at their E3 presentation, it kind of was sort of giving the impression of their focus only on this and this alone, though. Okay, granted, I don't think that's the case though, but I do see that it did kind of give that impression. Well, apparently, Mr. Kimishima, who is, of course, stepping down and the new person taking over, recently made some comments to try to at least ease some of those concerns to not only consumers or Nintendo fans, but also to investors. Whether or not that will work with the investors or not remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But according to what Mr. Kimishima said, according to what he said, and this is from an article from Nintendo Life, again, links will be in the description. Outgoing Nintendo President Kimishima has just taken part in his final meeting with the company's shareholders and has revealed that the company hasn't fully disclosed its 2018 software lineup. Kimishima, who has stepped aside to allow the new person, apologize if I can't say his name correctly though, so apologies on that one, into the hot seat, was quizzed about the fact that Nintendo's E3 showing triggered a decline in share values, which, from what I understand, their stock kind of, this article was also posted on June 13th, though it points out that their stock dropped of 6.21 in the company's share values. Nintendo has seen the bigger fluctuation than this in the past, but it's still a rather hefty change in percentage. It has been suggested that analysts are currently doubting whether or not Nintendo can achieve its hardware and software sales, having seen the lineup for E3. Of course, an awful lot now appears to be riding on the shoulders of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the new Pokemon title, though. So a lot of people a lot of investors were obviously not pleased with that. With investors apparently concerned that the company lacks the games needed to keep up with the Switch sales momentum, which last time I heard, Nintendo still believes that they can aim for 20 million units sold, to be exact. We already know Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are on their way before the close of 2018. But it seems even these potential blockbusters can't give investors the confidence they're needed. Kimishima stated that Nintendo will reveal more of its full 2018 lineup at the appropriate time, and this includes games that will launch during the competitive holiday season at the year end. Even so, Kimishima referred to the already confirmed lineup as powerful and stated that it's one of Nintendo's aim to maintain the Switch sales performance all the way up to the festival season, which triggers a rush of sales in both hardware and software. I understand Nintendo has a history of sort of keeping things to their chest, and sometimes that works in their favor, sometimes it doesn't. I've said this before and I say this again though. I mean, Donkey Kong Country Returns, when that was revealed in 2010, a lot of people were surprised by that, a lot of people were pleased with that. Tropical Freeze, when that was revealed, not so much, mostly because The Wii U was going in a downward spiral, and the fact that they were promoting it as this is the game Retro Studio always wanted to do, and a lot of people were disappointed with that, although some, you could argue some kind of set their expectations too high, to be exact. So, it's sort of a mixed bag that why Nintendo didn't want to show all their hands at E3, and I still feel that the Smash Brothers one, a lot of that stuff I felt they could have saved for like a Smash Brothers Direct. I mean, Hyrule Warriors got a Direct, Bayonetta got a Direct. I can't see why Smash Brothers couldn't have like its own Direct and all that stuff. Even on the other hand, however, the fact that there's more games to announce to it is very nice to see, and it will be very interesting to see what those games announcements could be. I mean, we could get something similar to what happened last year. We all before this was announced, we all knew that Skyrim was coming to the Nintendo Switch, and then at a Direct out of nowhere that not a lot of people expected, Doom, and I'm talking about Doom 2016, though, managed to make its way onto the Nintendo Switch, along with the announcement of Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus coming to the Nintendo Switch as well. So it's possible we could get something similar as well. What lineup will that be? Well, it's hard to say. It could be an indie lineup. It could be a Nintendo developing something that nobody knows about. Maybe a update of an old franchise, or a port of an old franchise like Kid Icarus Uprising, or, although this is a long shot and I highly doubt this will happen, Star Tropic. Or it could be maybe a third party is bringing some announcements as well. Maybe the rumored Rig Racer 8, probably that could be a big announcement. Or Bethesda may have some announcements as well, such as maybe announcing out of nowhere Rage 2 or Doom Eternal coming to the Nintendo Switch. Although, between the two, I think Doom Eternal has a better chance coming over than Rage 2. Although I could be wrong. Or maybe they'll announce that Rockstar is bringing Grand Theft Auto 5 to Nintendo Switch. That's been rumored for quite some time. So, again, it's just speculating though, but it will be very interesting to see what other games that they will be bringing over. Whether it's first parties from them, or indie games, or third party games to be exact. So it's a little, we don't know exactly what it is though. So, great that they're going to announce some games. Great that they're bringing more games, and that they're basically saying the Smash Brothers and Pokemon aren't the only games, not our only fall lineup to be exact though. Although I'm aware that Pokemon and Smash Brothers, the big fan base, I know those games will be are system sellers, but they can't be the only thing to have there. As for what those games could be, or the powerful lineup that he's referring to, well, we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps we'll get another Direct, which many people speculate we will, and I honestly think that it is going to happen. But we'll have to wait and see what it is. Hopefully it's a good fall lineup, though. It's going to be a tough one, considering last year we had, like, Mario Odyssey, not to mention Breath of the Wild as our launch title, so it's going to be tough, though. But we'll have to wait and see what they show off, to be exact. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth story, which this was announced on Thursday, and that is Skullgirls is coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, though, we got a breaking announcement that came out. Well, actually, it came out on Thursday, but it certainly has got some people pretty excited, though. And that is the announcement of the 2D fighter game Skullgirls, though. Now, I remember hearing about this game a while back. This was originally released, I think, on the PS3 and 360. It was later ported over to Vita and the PS4. There were talks about whether the chances of this game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and obviously not to Nintendo Switch, my bad, that Switch didn't come out at that time. I meant the Wii U and all, and obviously there were talks about it, but it never really happened. Mostly some of it could be the sales numbers for the Wii U and how the Wii U was not doing well, to the possibility of some technical hurdles, though, although I'm not 100% sure about the technical hurdles. Well, it looks to be, though, that Skullgirls' second Encore is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It was announced let's see if I can get it. It was announced at the Anime Expo 2018. According to the several articles, including this one from Nintendo Life, Lab Zero Games has revealed that Skullgirls 2 Second Encounter is Switch-bound. The news was announced, as I said earlier, Anime Expo 2018, although a solid release date wasn't forthcoming. Previously available on the PS4, PS Vita, and PC, Skullgirls Second Encounter showcased 14 fighters, a story mode, online play, and a soundtrack by the legendary Michiru Yamane. Apologize if I can't say his name correctly. It's also famous for his rather racy character designs and invertible special moves. The character designs, hey, you know what? Design characters however you want to, and consumers will decide whether they like it or not, though. The original Skullgirl was in contest for a release on the Wii U, but the developer saw the low sales in the machine and made it hard to justify the release. Thankfully, the Switch doesn't suffer from that problem, which obviously is good. As of right now, though, there hasn't been any release date as regard as to whether a physical version is going to happen. Although I've looked up several articles and doesn't point to it, though, a trailer on the Skullgirl page on YouTube does point that a physical and a digital copy is going to happen. So obviously, if they're saying it, they're basically saying that a physical copy is going to happen, which, if true, that's certainly great. Now, honestly, I'll admit, though, I am not a huge fighting game person, though. I'm not really that great at fighting games. In fact, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you guys, I suck at them. I really, really suck at fighting games. I mean, the only fighting game I know the last fighting game I played was Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challenger, and that's basically moving the button map, moving the special moves to like pushing one button and all. I really have a hard time doing all the special moves and all. That being said, though, I'm not against fighting games coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's just like with other games like Fortnite, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm not against these games coming over. I welcome them coming over to the Nintendo Switch, and it probably would be an audience for it. And excuse me. And given some of the response I've seen so far about this announcement, it appears as though a lot of people are pretty happy about it, and lately we've been seeing a lot of fighting games coming over to the Nintendo Switch. With this, along with Blaze Blue and Dragon Ball Fighter C, it appears as though we're getting a lot of 2D fighting games coming over, which honestly I think that's a good thing, though. Hopefully this game does well enough that not only does a Skullgirl 2 happen, but maybe it will convince companies like Namco to consider bringing some of their 3D fighting games over. Maybe like the Tekken series or Soul Calibur and all that stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. But overall, this is certainly good news, especially if you're a fighting game fan. And if you missed out on it the first time around, the Skullgirls Second Encounter, well, it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. The one thing that is going to be interesting, how is that going to play out, especially those who are using the Joy-Cons, though? That's going to be very interesting to see, especially for those who like to perform the special moves and all that stuff. So it would be interesting to see how that would play out with the Joy-Cons. I assume the Pro Controller isn't an issue. The Joy-Cons, maybe. And my hope is that if they're bringing the game over, I do hope they have the option to customize the special moves. So for some of us that are not that great at it, can adjust it to maybe, pushing one button and all that stuff. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, though. But overall, great that this game's coming over. Hopefully it does well on the Nintendo Switch, and hopefully it will encourage other companies to bring fighting games over. And who knows, if this does well, maybe Skullgirls 2 will actually happen or not, but we'll have to wait and see. But overall, Skullgirls 2 second Encore is currently coming, is going to be Switch bound though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the situation with Retro Studio? Do you think there is issues with Retro Studio? Do you think there is problems with management and all that stuff? Or do you think some of these rumors are blown out of proportion? Do you think some of these people who are complaining about it are spot on? Or do you think they are basically trolling? What are your thoughts about Square Enix developing a new action RPG for the PS4 and the Switch? Are you pleased with that? Are you looking forward to trying this out? Does it bother you that the people who worked on the Secret of Mana remake are working on it, or do you have some concerns about that? And what are your thoughts about the outgoing Nintendo president about the Switch fall lineup for 2018 though? Do you think we're going to get some heavy hitters out of this? Do you think that he's correct that the lineup's going to be powerful, or are you not 100% sure about that? Do you want to see more games than the Pokemon or the Smash Brothers, or do you think that is basically okay to excuse me, or do you think that's okay to just have that as the only lineup for Nintendo show off in the fall? And what are your thoughts about the announcement of Skullgirls 2 second account Encore, if I'm saying the name correctly? I apologize if I wasn't. Do you think this is great? Are you pleased that this game's coming to the Nintendo Switch? Or do you have it on the Vita, PS4, or PC and you don't feel like picking up the Switch version though? Do you think this will encourage other developers to bring more of their fighting games over? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon for a notification. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!